This is Grand Bahama Shipyard in Freeport, Bahamas. It's one of the busiest dry docks on the planet. Now, bringing a regular-sized cruise ship into a place like this for important works is no big deal. But when the biggest cruise ship on the planet needs important things to be done, then things get tricky. Now, if the sheer size of what we've got to get done isn't enough to give us trouble, then the clock will be, because we've got exactly 7 days to complete the entire operation. My name's Weir, and this is Project Atlantis. So what's all this dry dock business then? Well, it's very simple. You bring the ship into a dry dock and you float the dry dock and the ship dries out. And then you can paint and work on all the bits and bobs and it's all good. But the Allure is too big for this dry dock. In fact, it's too big for any dry dock on this side of the planet. So we have to improvise.
Well, this is an extremely unique concept here. Because one, we're using a dry dock that isn't strong enough to lift the ship all the way out of the water. So this is sort of like if you need to do work on your car. The best thing to do would be to have a lift in the garage that takes it all the way up so you can work underneath. Well, sometimes you can't do that. You just have to jack up the back, change the tire, do some work. Well, in ships, you don't usually do that, but that's what we're doing with the Allure.
So in a few days, Allure of the Seas will back up into the dock 2. Center azipod is going to be positioned inside the center cofferdam, and the port azipod is going to be positioned inside the port cofferdam.
Once he's in that position, divers will go in, verify the position of the ship on the blocks. Then they're going to take and move these large cofferdams here about 7 meters forward, just so they'll go around these ship's azipods. Once they're around the azipods, all the clearances are checked. There's doors on the side here on the front. Those will be swung shut by the divers, and then we'll bring the dock up a little bit so that the top of the cofferdam is clear of the water level. And once it's up there, we'll go ahead and start some large pumps that we have here, 2 in each cofferdam, and that'll pump the water out of the cofferdams. At that time, teams of shipyard workers will go in to start doing the preparation works to access the bearings.
Yeah, this is the reason the Allure of the Seas is going into Freeport. It has to be replaced. This is a truss block for the Allure of the Seas, or a spare one. The old one is worn quite a bit, which makes the ship not be able to keep its itinerary.
The Allure of the Seas is going to Freeport because we have an issue with the bearing of one of our azipods. Azipods are the propeller that brings us forward and make sure we are running fast and smooth through the ocean. We have seen some wear and tear on the bearing, which we have to change. More due to the fact that we can't maintain the full speed of the ship on our high-speed legs on our itineraries. And it's obviously critical because if you have a car with 4 tires and one of the tires is flat, you can't make that speed on your car. So we're over there to change the tire.
In order to do that, they have to take the propeller off the front of the azipod. Another team will be on the aft end of the azipod, removing the cone that protects the bearing. At that time, they'll continue working on breaking the thrust bearing loose. Once the bearing is disconnected, it'll be slid on a trolley back away from the pod and then lifted out of the cofferdam.
The combination of jacking the ship up, movable cofferdams, and doing it on this size, a scale, just not done before. This is, after all, the world's largest cruise ship.
So obviously, if you're going to try and carry out what is going to end up being the world's most complex and most expensive ever racing pit stop, attention to detail and meticulous planning is key. And the fine details are being worked out this week. This is the week prior to the arrival of the Allure here in Freeport.
The schedule is extremely important. This job has never ever been done in a cofferdam like this. So a tremendous amount of planning has gone into the execution of the job. We do not have more time than we would have in a 24/7 normal dry dock, but then we have all the big equipment supporting you, cranes, forklifts, which you do not have for this job.
Considering the time given, we have to execute every single task on the strict schedule. So it has to be done, and we don't have much buffer.
This is the first time that we've done it in this type of situation. People are working in a confined environment. We've had to bring in special tools, smaller cherry pickers, smaller forklifts, just to be working this way. So there's a lot of ifs that have not been addressed before in a pit stop that's still timed to a 7-day turn.
You have to make 100% sure that everything is perfectly operating, so there is no place for a mistake when the ship is in place. Now we have time to play with it. We have time to test several times everything, and first we will do the tests in dry conditions, and then once we have cleared up everything and we are ready for the wet tests, we will do the same. So we will simulate that the ship is inside here, we will simulate the water, the dry dock will go down, we fill up the water, we pump out the water, close the doors, open the doors, we have divers, everything is going to be simulated like when the ship is coming into the dry.
So, if you can't bring the ship into the dry, you've got to bring the dry into the ship, and that's what we've done by building 2 enormous cofferdams, which are just basically steel boxes that you can pump the water out of, and you can work inside underneath the ship. Now it's a super tight squeeze, so planning of course has been everything, but so far, and fingers crossed, we're on target.
Okay, we landed the cofferdam on the dock floor yesterday, and we put it on these large metal slides. And so now we have to slide the whole unit into the retaining clips that are going to keep it from floating when the dock is immersed. Actually, we're doing quite well. We have a schedule for all this, so we're feeling pretty good about it.
Today is scheduled to start of the dry testing. So what we will do, we'll transit the cofferdam about approximately 7 meters, which will be needed in order to reach the parking position where the work is going to be performed.
Right now we're doing the dry land test. This is the first time the equipment's been connected and run. We're making sure it all works properly like we anticipate. And once we're happy with how it works on the dry land, we'll put the dock underwater and do the underwater testing. So when the vessel's in here, the whole system's underwater. So the diving teams are the ones that are actually operating the equipment to move the cofferdams in place and to close the doors. So we're all dependent on the divers to get it done. Okay, so right now the divers are going to start practicing with the equipment, making sure the equipment works, making sure they understand it. And at the same time, we're still installing the dewatering piping, so we want to keep that work going simultaneously.
The cofferdams are on the skids, and they are aligned with the 4 hydraulic motors. The force that is needed for the cofferdam to be moved, it's around 8 tons. And once you move it, to continue moving it takes 6 tons force. And for that reason we have 4 hydraulic motors. They are aligned with the size of the cofferdam, and they will be the ones. So the hydraulic force will actually turn the motors, and the motors will move the cofferdam.
So we didn't see how it was working, but when they tried it the first time now, it didn't move. And then one of these pinions jumped out of the rack and kept rotating. And because of that, we think we have a problem. Perhaps some of the motors are running backwards or something. But the foundation got a little bit busted up. We're going to have to put some reinforcement on the deck here, and then try it again.
Of course, it will be always some challenges when we come to these large projects as cofferdams and this azipod overhaul is at this particular dry dock. Right now we have some issues with the small issues with the doors that need to be adjusted, and it's just a matter of small things, and it's just a matter of time. It will time consume, but we have enough time to sort this out before the vessel arrives. So at the moment we are facing some challenges with door adjustments, since the whole cofferdam was transported from the workshop to the dock. So we assume that further adjustment will be needed in order to seat the door properly on the gasket. They're hinged doors actually, so just imagine the regular door on your house, and it's hanging on one huge hinge that has to be turned 90 degrees halfway and then aligned with the front of the cofferdam and pulled with the devices in a final closed position.
Okay, so yesterday the gear jumped out of the rack, and so we felt we had a problem, so we looked at it, and the deck is flexing below the foundation. So last night they put in some reinforcements, and about 4 o'clock in the morning they tested the drive system again, and it's all working well. So we're looking good.
So what's going to happen here in the next few days before the vessel is in dock, the complete rehearsal of the bearing exchange will be performed before vessel is in.
This is a extra bearing we have, and an end cone for the azipod. So what we will do with this equipment is to make sure everything is in order for this critical job. It is very important to do this test because time is very limited, and we basically do not have all the equipment we would have in a normal dry dock to test. So all this is coming over, the cone and the bearing, so we can test it in the equipment that we will use for Allure and make sure when the vessel comes in, everything fits.
Okay, we're about to flood the dry dock and put the cofferdams underwater for the first time. Few minor adjustments at the very last minute here. The yard's on break, so we have a couple people working overtime to get the welding done and get some final adjustments on the door. We have a 2-phase test right now. First phase will be about 1.5 meters of water just to test the transit mechanism in the water. Then if that's successful, we will go to a full flood and put the whole cofferdam underwater and start to test for the door tightness.
I get the go ahead. I'm at the minimum freeboard now, so we will not waste any time. Just open the tanks, all the tanks, so that we go at a faster pace. Let the water come in the tank, with the gravity dock will go down, and we will stop at the maximum draft. We'll test the cofferdams, move our cofferdams forward and aft. So this is basically the trial to test the cofferdams.
We did testing with the divers in the water during the daylight hours, and then we knew the ship would be coming in during the twilight or evening hours. We went ahead and rescheduled full testing in those dark hours, so the divers would be able to be operating in the conditions that they can anticipate when the ship comes in. We're ready for Allure. Hope Allure is ready for us, and we're ready to start on the world's largest pit stop here in Freeport, Bahamas.
Good job. I'm heading out now towards you, Port Island, coming.
Distance 5.5 miles.
5.5 miles to the pilot station. Speed?
Speed 19.4.
19.5. To bring the Allure of the Seas into this dry dock is a job that has never ever been done before. First of all, the port is very narrow. The entrance of the port is a bottleneck. The dock itself doesn't give us very much strength. A third of the ship doesn't fit into the dock. It's going to be hanging outside the wall of the dock. So only 2/3 of the ship is going to be inside the dock. I would have about 3 feet of clearance underneath the keel to the blocks. And I will have 8 feet clearance on each side of the ship to the walls of the dock. So what we are about to do now is make history here on board the Allure of the Seas. Well, I've been a captain for Royal Caribbean for 20 years. I've never ever experienced anything like this. A lot of planning has come into place, and we're very happy that we are here right now and that we successfully managed to pack this huge ship into this tiny little dock.
Roger. Okay, let's go ahead and start swinging the door shut. Start swinging the door shut.
Oh, the door is, the divers are now working on closing the door. They are turning the door into its final sliding position, and then they will close the door over the opening, and we will start the dock. It's been going extremely smooth. The weather has cooperated greatly, and all the planning pays off now. So at the moment we are roughly 3 hours ahead of schedule. Roger.
We got 2 dogs to go over here on this side. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm missing a dog, and And we are good to go. The come along is in place, so the seal looks good, and 2 minutes.
Roger. Right now, we're in the process of finishing the closing up of the doors. It should be half a minute or so, they should be done. Once they get done, we'll do one more sweep, make sure it's finished. The port side door is complete. The divers are going to come out. As soon as the divers come out of the water, the dock master will raise the dock to about 6 inches below the sill. And then we start pumping the water up.
Look all the way around. Okay, go to the next one. Yeah, it just needs to be snug. It needs to be really good.
We're lifting.
Right now what we are seeing, the cofferdam is coming out of water. We'll have a freeboard about 1 meter where they're emptying the water out of the cofferdam, and the ABB, the yard workers, can go inside and start changing those bearings. Hey Geir, come over here. I got something for you. I got the ship in. Here's the flag. Put it back on the beautiful dock you guys have made. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Congratulations for getting the ship in.
Thank
as well.
you. That was a piece of cake. The rest is yours. I done my half of the part. The other half is to get her out on Sunday.
Well, this is a very special time for us. It's not really a wet dock or even a dry dock in the conventional sense, because it came on very short notice. So we used the opportunity to really do some much needed maintenance. In many of the areas we cannot access properly when we have guests on board every day. We want to make sure the ship is as clean and looks as new as when we got her 3 years ago. And that's what the crew is doing right now.
Hi Andy, good?
Right.
What's the progress?
Yeah, coming on.
Yeah?
Yeah, coming on.
So we're taking the opportunity that the ship is out of service to work on projects that it's a little bit more challenging to do while in operations. So we are resurfacing the pools with new material. We are refinishing the jacuzzis. We are changing carpet throughout the ship. That includes suites, staterooms, and other areas. So overall, progress has been great. We're in very good shape, and the weather has been fantastic. So hopefully it stays like this throughout these days, and very happy with the progress.
It's not just all work. We also make sure there's time to play for our crew. On a daily basis, we show 3D movies. We have our live musicians are performing in select venues. We have even a couple of the specialty restaurants open every night. So there's a lot of activities, enough to keep the crew busy and interested. But for us, the big event is the Red Bull Party.
Okay, so we're just walking into our big Thursday night sort of pinnacle crew party here. Believe it or not, of all places on this ship, the Royal Promenade. An amazing party. We have a balloon drop, we've got live music, we've got DJs, some cool new surprises for the crew. The crew's really enjoying it, and it's a really unique experience. I can't even explain it.
So as the crew inside the ship continue with their lives, things outside are gaining pace. In fact, we're ahead of schedule now. Tell me, young man, have you had a chance to get outside and see things?
Yeah, I have. It's pretty exciting stuff. This is my first contract.
He looks familiar. Let's have a look outside.
So what we're doing here is we built some cofferdams, which are these big steel boxes. We jack the ship up, we put the boxes in place, close the doors, pump them out, and voila, we have a dry space where we can work on the azipods, take them apart, replace those bearings.
So again, keeping it simple, ship, cofferdam, cofferdam, ship.
It's easy. Pod work is easy. It's something we do. We do more pods than any other shipyard in the world. The environment we're going to have to repair these pods in, that was the most difficult to overcome. You know, we're sitting in a box right now with 8 tons of pressure coming in on either side of us here, and about twice that here. It's a little bit, a little uncomfortable. If you're a little claustrophobic, you might have some issues.
So we are inside the cofferdam, and that's one of the walls. On the other side of this wall is the ocean. We're about 25 feet below sea level. And if you come this way, you can see that's the propeller, and it's been dismounted from the propeller shaft. And that stage was necessary so that they could get the cap off the other end.
Schedule is probably one of the most important things that we had to worry about here after safety. Because the longer we have the ship out of service, the more it costs us. It goes all the way from the structural analysis. Was the dry dock strong enough to do this? Is the ship strong enough to have 100 meters of a 360-meter ship hanging out the front end of the dry dock when you lift it up? Then you've got to figure out the cofferdams. What exact size? Are they strong enough? How are you going to get the tools in place to work on these huge azipods? And after all of those things, you go down and you have to look at the actual work that takes place on the azipods. Teams went through and they looked at every bolt that had to be undone, every minute piece of the operation. They estimated how long would it take, how long could it take if things went really badly, and how little time could it take if everything went perfect.
Okay, this is perfect timing. We're in the cofferdam at the exact moment that they've taken the old bearing out, and they're going to put the new one in right here.
Well, we are doing good. The port side, we might be finished with the whole job tonight. The back sides on both azipods are almost done, and the front on the center line will be finished before lunch tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing. You said we got seven different chain hoists to try to pull it in.
Yeah, because we don't have any large equipment. We have 8 chain hoists now.
Okay. Well, overnight they finished seating the new bearings, which is fantastic. Got them installed, aligned, connected, and we're ahead of schedule. And we're actually reassembling the whole pod. We put the cone on, which is the hydrodynamic piece of the pod, and we're putting the propellers back on right now.
So let me boil this down to its bare essentials. 1, you take the cap off. 2, you put the new bearing in. 3, you put the cap back on.
Well, we're finishing up now with the buttoning up of the pods completely. We're doing the seal work, getting the seals in place. We'll put the rope guards on, the rope cutters. We'll put the concrete in the bolt holes. We're pretty much done. Clean up the cofferdams. Tomorrow we'll flood the cofferdams and we'll prepare for the vessel to sail on Friday.
I couldn't be happier right now. Everything's gone just perfectly. The repair is going well. We're ahead of schedule, which means I get this ship back doing what it's supposed to be doing as quickly as we can.
I feel extremely proud of everybody that has been involved with this project. It has been a lot of work, dedication, a lot of really good engineering and good thinking to make this possible. And I'm extremely proud of everybody that has worked on this project to make this look easy. It was not easy this 5 months ago, but today we're just making it look easy, and that's a testimony of the capacity of everybody involved.
I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier. Everyone here pulled together and just did an unbelievable job.
Congratulations, Ron!
Takk skal du ha, Ron. Det var hyggelig. Det var veldig jævlig bra. Goran.
Thank you.
Well, we are about to open the valve for the centerline cofferdam, the last one to be opened. Filling up the last cofferdam. There's only one more thing to do.
So last night, all the handshaking and the congratulations for a job well done, and of course getting it all finished nearly 2 days ahead of schedule. Really? A party? And I wasn't, was my name on the list? I mean, I have been part of this project, Tim. Anyway, the only thing left, of course, now is to get the beautiful Allure back to Fort Lauderdale. The crew are well rested, the ship is looking and working like it was brand new. And of course, don't forget, we've got 6,000 guests waiting on the pier for the vacation of a lifetime. Honestly, I should have been invited to that party. I'm part of the team.